on the road, played a really good football team at their place. Knew we were going to have to play really well to be able to win. We did. We're playing better football right now. You just have a handful of things that kind of don't allow you to win the game. And in all three phases. I think defensively is where you'd say that gave us a chance to win the way we played there, and I'll hang my hat on that. The three explosives that they had, the really big explosives are ones that hurt you naturally. But I think we played winning football on defense enough for us to be able to win. Offensively, we couldn't get the run game going. Good thing, positive, and as we found a way to generate offense in the throw game, where earlier in the year, if we couldn't run it, there was nothing happening. So, that's a positive, but it wasn't quite as consistent and wasn't quite as detailed as I think we can still be. I think we still have some room to go there, some room to work on things there in the throw game. But in the run game, it was just a little bit of a challenge. It was kind of, we were a little feast or famine on offense. In the first quarter, kind of struggled to get it going. Second quarter, put some drives together, scored some points. Third quarter was a little bit unique at halftime. Felt like we were really close to popping some runs. There's quite a few of them in there, whether it's quarterback runs or with the running back, where, we feel like we got a seam and it's about to hit, and then, there's a hand in there that grabs us by the jersey, slows us down, turns a big one into 6. So we tried to stick coming out in the third quarter, so we need to run it again. Weren't able to ever get it going. By the time, we decided, all right, we got to throw it a little more. We were playing a field position game that wasn't very good. And then in the fourth quarter, we drive, we're about a foot away from scoring a touchdown there, an onside kicking to try to win the game. But special teams, the 2 penalties were inexcusable. Those are things that you cannot do. It costs you 30 yards in field position in a game where field position really, really mattered. So those are things that, certainly we, when you play a really good team, you can't do those things, and I think when you play in teams that aren't quite as good as they are, you get away with some of that. But it bit us, on the rear end there at the end. And, the things you got to do, you got to take away the positives and the things that we're doing better. We're playing a lot better as a football team. We lost to a really good team. Now you got to rebound. You got to get your feet back on the ground. You got to move forward because you got another good one coming to town this week with Southern Miss.
Coach, we talked most of the first half of the season, understanding about the quarterback and the injuries and the passing game and all. But the other issue is the cornerback plays kind of been up and down, and opponents are completing almost 70%. So do you feel like you're close to being where you need to be personnel-wise, and how you're organizing all that, and what needs to happen moving forward to get better the second half of the year in that area?
Yeah, you are kind of got what you have right now, and you got guys that you got to continue to play better. Some of the throws in the game the other day, obviously the reverse pass, it's cover 3. You got to stay in your thirds and you got to stay in the post, and we didn't do that with anybody. Guys wide open, that's one that, you got to play disciplined football and cover, being where you're supposed to be in coverage. And then, the big one at the end of the game that they hit on the seam is cover 3. That's not a coverage issue. That's eye discipline issue. That's worrying about the wrong things. That's having your eyes in the wrong spot. They throw a seam in cover 3 on not a very good ball that, if anything, should be picked. So it's a bust in coverage. That's not a ability thing. That's being where you're supposed to be type of thing. And, I don't know another way to say it. We got guys out there that know what they're supposed to do. It's in the heat of the moment. Those are things that kill you. And sometimes, you got guys that roll the dice and they make plays and it works out for them. But this is where it bites you, right? So, it's, we got to continue to play better and continue to contest in coverage, with a couple guys that you have that are in and out of there, and some things didn't work out the way you thought it would. Man coverage is something that you got to have more than one person to be able to play man, and, for us, it's about getting the ball on the ground, tackling better, making them play it on second down. So, we got to continue. I thought we did things a lot better on defense. We tackled a lot better. We communicated a lot better. Like I said, the busted coverage was really not a busted coverage. It was poor eye discipline. We had a couple of things that we weren't exactly on the same page on. That's going to happen typically in the game, but it was much better on defense, and we played a lot better on defense against, I think, a really good offense.
Any update on Zylan Perry?
Yeah, we're pretty confident he'll be able to go this week. He's a difference maker. Not having him in there certainly doesn't help. So, yeah, we feel really good about him being able to go this week.
Is Elam possible or not quite yet?
Very possible. So that would be huge for us. If Elam can go at star, that allows you to put some guys back at corner that's really what they are. They're filling in at star, which allows you to maybe do some more things there in the secondary. Certainly don't want to sit here and say it's definite thing because, we got to progress him a little bit more and make sure he's good to go. But, that would be a pretty big shot in the arm for us.
What about with the O-line with Morrow down? Is it just going to be another instance of kind of looking for the next guy out, Jacoby More?
Yeah, there's nobody else. I don't know. There ain't no damn waiver wire here in college football yet. I don't know. Maybe it's coming. Yeah, no, that's what it is. So, yeah, Jacoby's going to play a lot more. Mackey is certainly going to have to play more now, which I think, physically, I think he's back healthy. We need him to have a really good week of practice this week so that he can go out there and go because, Jax I think Jax will be good, but, he's a little banged up this week too. He's playing a lot of plays. So, yeah, there's no relief. It is what it is. So, yeah.
Your last 6 are all against your side of the league. The old cliche about you control your own destiny, but is that actually, your guys, they understand that that's right there in front of them?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And I think as a coach, what you have to do is you have to kind of shape the vision a little bit and allow them to see the opportunities that are in front of them. It's really easy to sit here at 2-4 and say, man, this has been a terrible season so far and all this and that. And yeah, it hasn't been what we wanted it to be. We lost 2 games by a combined 5 points, games that we feel like there's no doubt we should have won. None of it's irrelevant. We were 4-2, a couple years ago, sitting here in first place in the Western Division, and we completely screwed it up in the second half of the year. What happened to this point doesn't matter. We're still in position to win the Western Division, and that's the vision that we've got to go after, and that's what we're talking about. That's what we've got to understand. And the only way you win it is by going 1-0 this week. And as cliche or whatever as it sounds, where we are at right now as a team, it is truly 1 week at a time. And I told them that. I said, if you start looking at this thing too far down the road, it becomes a little bit overwhelming, right? Just the injury. Like, you can't think about all those things. You got to think about what you have that week. You got to get them ready to go play, and you got to go find a way to scratch out a 60-minute win. And, the last few games we played have come down to the fourth quarter and the last couple drives. I don't know that's going to change the rest of the year. I know we still have enough to go and get it done. I know we got enough to go find a way to win every week. But the reality of it is it's not going to be easy. And it's going to be those types of games. And we're going to have to play really well in all 3 phases. And we're certainly going to have to do things, we're going to have to do things to win the games and certainly not do things that end up losing them for you. And, that's gotten better throughout the year. Earlier in the year, I think it flashed at times what we could do and what we could be. Then it became a little bit more consistently. Now it's way more rare that those things are happening, but they're still happening. And when you play a team of the caliber of James Madison, when it happens, it costs you a whole lot, and that's the reality of it. We got to get those things fixed for the second half of the year if we want a chance to go do this, and that's what we want. And this team, there's one thing I'll say about them is there's no quit. There's a lot of fight in this group. No matter what happens, they fight and they compete and they want it really bad because they've worked really hard for it. So, yeah, that's the vision. That's, tell them every day you're trying to keep the dream alive, and that's what it is. It's what we set out to do at the beginning of the year, and every day you're working your tail off to try to keep that thing intact.
No matter who's been a quarterback, you guys have hovered right around 50%, a little below on completion percentage. You think that's kind of stylistically just what y'all been forced to do? Is it execution-wise, or what do you look at some of the inefficiencies as far as the completion percentage goes?
Yeah, it's I don't know how to answer that without sounding a certain type of way. I think we've got to be more efficient in the throw game. We have played some teams in the last few weeks that have been really aggressive in playing man coverage, almost a zero style of defense. But yeah, I mean, we got to throw and catch it better than what we're doing. And, you know, we made some big plays, but like I said, we're still leaving a lot on the table there as far as just consistently being able to execute. You know, we have a couple of them there, you know, for whatever reason, quarterback, receiver, whatever, that you know, we're not executing the way we need to. I mean, one of them on a third down, it's a day one play. We're literally not, we're just not spaced right. And there's no excuse for it. It's guys that have run the play a million times. The spacing's not right, so everything's condensed and it doesn't work. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that other than we need to play better in the throw game, and we need to complete more balls. We need to be more consistent. We need to be more efficient in that.
Is looking at Southern Miss's defense, is it Marshall's defense last year minus Green, or is it a little different?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much doing the same stuff. I mean, 11 of their 22 on the two deep were from Marshall. You know, they were able to keep some of the best ones that Southern Miss had too, and bring some really good players over there with them. You know, they have the Jamon Tapp kid that's playing their edge position, which is what Mike Green played. He does a really good job. You know, they're big inside like they were last year. Their whole secondary is pretty much from Marshall. You know, they've got, you know, good linebackers in there. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good defense. It's a lot of the same people we played last year, truthfully.
What about Braxton? And, you know, does playing him last year, I'm sure it gave you something, but what are they doing a little differently maybe than what he was successful with at Marshall?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Blake Anderson is a new play caller there for him, who's been incredibly successful everywhere he's been. I think he's done a really good job with him. They're letting him play quarterback. You know, I mean, they're using him in the run games. That's what, you know, he does a really good job there. But, you know, he operates really well at quarterback. I think, you know, what they do a good job of is they're running a lot of pin and pull stuff and GT stuff where they've got a bunch of gap scheme plays. They're pulling these guards and stuff like that on all their play action shots too. So you're getting linebacker reaction down in the box, and, you know, they're getting, you know, behind the linebackers in the voids in the windows. They take a bunch of one-on-one shots. They play with tempo. You know, it looks like they're playing with pretty good tempo when you watch it on tape. And they take a bunch of shots. When they got one-on-ones, they'll throw them up, and he'll give his receivers a chance to go make the play. I think their running backs are playing good. You know, the Pittman kid they got from Mississippi State does a really good job for them. Really, really patient. Got a good burst. You know, I don't know how much is different or how much is the same. It looks to me like by the time we played him at the end of last year, it felt like he was running the ball every other play. Right now, he's playing quarterback, and he's distributing the ball really well. You know, you got to always try to affect the quarterback as much as you can. It's easier when they're putting him in positions and they're running him a bunch. They're not doing that as much anymore. So, you know, when you do get a chance to get back there and get home, you know, in the throw game, you got to go make it count. But he's hard to get on the ground. He's a big dude, and he's really elusive. He runs well. He's tough. You know, so he's playing really good football. I mean, you're not 4-2 if your quarterback ain't playing really good, and their quarterback is playing really good.
Other than Morrow, is there anybody else? Did you come out of it okay Saturday? Or?
Yeah, right now I think so. You know, like I said, Jax is a little banged up. We think he's going to be good, though. You know, Caden will probably be out this week. You know, just the reality of it. Trying to think of it. And I think Brent will be fine. You know, he just he got hit there on the sideline. We took him out. The doctors cleared him to go back in, but he was you know, he kind of got you know, his shoulder, neck right there. He's fine. You know, everything's been cleared. He's good to go. We just felt like for him we need to take him out. So I think he's fine too. Yeah, I think so. You know, we injury report this morning sounds like that's about it. You know, Walker looks like he'll be cleared to get back into practice full go this week, which is unbelievable. Zylan should be good to go this week. You know, Rob's still good. Shelton hopefully is a week out. Don't think he'll be back this week, but we're hoping next week he'll be back, which will be a big shot in the arm for us. But as far as guys up front, man, there's not much, you know, there's not much coming there, you know. I mean, other than hopefully getting Caden back, you know, hopefully in a week.
So if Walker practices, I know this week maybe doesn't affect it, but how do you guys manage that and handle that position moving forward if he's back in the mix?
Well, I think it's always tough to pull I mean, look, Lunch is playing well. I mean, we the Marshall game obviously was unbelievable. He's playing really well right now. I mean, he made some big throws. He stood in the pocket now and took some freaking shots against James Madison and stood in there and did it over and over and over again. You don't mess with those things whenever you got a guy that's playing well. And, Walker was the first one to tell me. He's like, look, I get it. He's playing good. He goes, I'm just excited to be back and be practicing, which is unbelievable for a kid to say who's been through everything he's been through. But he's got to practice too. You know what I mean? Like we got to see where he's at and everything. And so, trying to get some reps, with him and Daniel kind of working with the second group, see where he's at. Because obviously, he won the job for a reason. He's really talented, really dynamic. It's always good to have those guys back. I mean, God, we've had the worst luck with quarterbacks, so we need every one of them back that can go and that's ready to go.
And then Colin Jacob, he flashed again, made another play. And then you guys had him with Skipper and then with Jalen at different points. Just kind of, is that just still evolving with him just playing so well when he gets in there?
It's all about taking advantage of your opportunities. He's playing really well. So, at first it was kind of like, well, look, if someone's got to go in, he can go in right here and that's it. And then, he goes in against Marshall, plays really well. Really played against a little bit earlier in the year too. Against Missouri, played a little bit at the end of the game, stuff like that, and did a good job. But every time he gets in there, he just, he keeps taking advantage of those opportunities. So you earn more. He's tackling really well. He's making really good decisions. He's disruptive. He's around the ball. He's aggressive and he's playing loose. And that's what you have to have on defense to do that. And he's playing really well. So, yeah, I mean, his role, continues to grow. It helps that he can get in there and go play and take as many snaps as he's taken and play really well. Jalen Clark's a guy that I don't know how some guys just tend to sweat more than others. Like he sweats a lot. Like in his hydration is always something that like with Jalen, like we're always, just making sure that, he's well hydrated and all that stuff. So that takes plays off of him, which allows him to be fresh longer in the game. Obviously, Skip, it allows us to be able to rotate those three guys and do a good job with that. So I think it's helped Skip. I mean, Skip played the best game he's played since week 2, of this year. And that's good. I mean, he just hadn't played great, man, but he finally cut loose and went play. So, sometimes when you just add another guy to that mix and all three of them are playing well, they feed off each other.